Come on. Come on, man. Apparently in a speech yesterday, he started talking about global elites, that there was a conspiracy of global elites. This is a guy who spent all his time hanging around trying to convince everybody he was a global elite. Talking about how great his buildings are, and how luxurious and how rich he is, and flying around everywhere. And all he had time for was celebrities. And now suddenly he's acting like he's a populist out there. Man, I'm going to fight for working people. Come on, man. You want to know what somebody's going to do? Look what they've been doing their whole lives. And if you want a leader who actually values hard work and respects working Americans, if you want higher wages and better benefits and a fair tax code and equal pay for women and stronger regulations on Wall Street, then you should vote for Hillary Clinton. If you want to know who's going to keep you safe in a dangerous world, the choice is even clear. Hillary's going to make sure we finish the job of defeating ISIL. And she won't have to resort to torture or ban entire religions from our country. And she's got the knowledge and the experience and the temperament to be the next commander-in-chief. You can't have a guy who's insulted POWs and attacks a Gold Star mom and has called our troops and veterans weak and cozies up to dictators and tells our allies we might not stand by their side unless they pay up first. He may be up at 3 a.m. in the morning, but it's because he's tweeting insults to somebody who got under his skin. That's not the kind of president you want. Not fit to be commander-in-chief, and not fit to lead the world's greatest democracy. And by the way, this is somebody who threatens to jail his political opponents or silence the media, who welcomes Russian meddling in our electoral process, and is now suggesting that if the election doesn't go his way, it's not because all the stuff he said, but it's because it's rigged and it's a fraud. You know, some nations do operate that way. And they're tyrannies. And they're oppressive. They're not the world's greatest democracy. We have fought against those kinds of things. We, around the world, we talk to other countries, we say, no, in a democracy, you can't just threaten to jail your opponents. There are things called due process. No, in a democracy, you can't just ban reporters or press that you don't like, because there's this thing called the First Amendment. In a democracy, you have a contest, but if you lose, then you say congratulations and you move on, because the country and our system of government is bigger than any single individual. That's what we do. The United States of America has always stood for something better. Which by the way, I said this last night, I just got to go back to this again. It's part of why I'm disturbed about Republican elected officials who know better, but are still supporting this guy. You know, I said that in part what's happened here is over the last 8 years, Republican officials who know better, some of whom I talk to, they're sane people, they're normal folks, but what they've done is they've allowed a lot of crazy talk to just be pumped out again and again through all kinds of these media outlets. Conspiracy theories, you know, I was born outside this country, and you know, Hillary and I started ISIL, and you know, we're going to impose martial law, and we're trying to take everybody's guns away, and you know, and crazier stuff than that. And a lot of Republican elected officials have just stood by a lot of House members, a lot of senators, they stood by and they didn't say anything because it was a way to rile up their base, and it was a way to mount opposition to whatever we were trying to do. And over time, because a lot of the hardcore Republican partisan voters were just hearing this stuff over and over again, they started to believe it. And that's what allowed Donald Trump suddenly to emerge. Donald Trump didn't build all this crazy conspiracy stuff. And some Republicans who knew better stood by silently, and even during the course of this campaign, didn't say anything. I mean, I know that some of them now are walking away, but why did it take you this long? You said you're the party of family values. What, you weren't appalled earlier when he was saying degrading things about women? When he was judging them based on a score of are they a 2 or a 10? That wasn't enough for you? You're walking away from him now. It wasn't disturbing enough for you when he was saying Mexicans who come here are rapists? Or suggesting that people, patriotic Americans of the Islamic faith, somehow are suspect and should be treated differently? That wasn't enough? I'm glad that some of them now said, wow, this is really bad. I guess we need to walk away. But if you're doing it just for political expedience, just because you're looking at poll numbers and you say, oh, this might get me in trouble, that's not enough. If you say you're about family values, you got to be about family values all the way through. If you spent all these years extolling Reagan and how tough he was with the Russians, how is it that you suddenly stand silently when you nominate a guy who says a guy he admires is the former head of the KGB? If you say that you're about the Constitution and you're opposed to what Obama's doing with executive actions, because that shows, he's a tyrant, but you're okay with a guy who says to his opponent in the middle of a debate, I'm going to throw you in jail. How does that work? It doesn't work. And that's why I want everybody to understand what's at stake here. One of the things I've learned these past 8 years is that progress is hard. You got to battle it out. Even when you have victories, like the Affordable Care Act, it's not always perfect, and you got to work to make it better. And you take 2 steps forward on something like climate change, there are going to be folks who try to push you back, and the special interests are strong. And it is true that the country is so often divided along party lines, and it's very hard to get folks to compromise. And Hillary understands all that. But what she also knows is that if you stay at it and you work hard, good things can happen.